alright. Like I said before, it's been a while since I was in this game, and I find it kind of counterintuitive's not the word, but there's just so much they want to jam on your screen. Having double monitors would be better, but I'll just each time gotta resize everything. So I went in to look at assets instead of actually emulating the game or working on the background screen, and actually found object 4, which is spider. Nice, a little bit creepy but kind of goofy. So I went into edit sprite, not edit image, because that would have been the initial starting image of the sprite. And you can take a look at that. See down below there, you see what frames it's running through, and it's not 8 like I thought, it's only 4. But a cool thing you can do is mess with speeds, so I could make him be really freaking out incredibly fast, or much slower than that. I could even show you that. There's 4 frames. We're going at like 4 frames per 1 second. Frames per game. No, I don't want to mess with that. Origin 32. Frames per second 6, actually. I was close. We could do 1 frame per second. That was really slow. We could do 12 frames per second, and he's just flipping out. That's a little too much. I found 6 was okay, especially when he's zipping across the screen. Then you go ahead and you create an instance layer. You say put an instance of this object on the screen once you've created it as is. I've selected what? You type in rules such as when timer begins or when level begins, make all instances of this object on the screen do what? And then you type in really simple codes about like randomize its movement but be moving this fast by the XY axis on such a diagonal. Anyway, so you randomize it because they all just start at random positions, and as soon as the level starts, or actually I made the rule say as soon as the music starts in the level. You can link different rules so the game acts different ways based on when certain occurrences happen in the game. So I think this rule, if I'm remembering correctly a year ago, was when the music starts, and I set the music to start as soon as the game starts, or the level, as soon as the music starts, all objects of this on the screen will begin moving at a random path on the XY axis at such a speed. So this character I designed with another rule that as soon as the instance of the player, which is a little Pac-Man guy, let's take a look at that sprite. Create, run, edit. So take a look at that. Sprite edit. Edit sprite. Don't edit the icon because that's the beginning image. We want to edit sprite. Take a look at that. Now, again, all of the stuff I was working on has just moved up above in the screen, which is, I mean, you just need like a wall-sized monitor to mess with all this stuff at the same time. Because you'll have so much stuff open, but it's not visible. It's actually up here. So then you'll have to go through and close it all. But anyway, this is at 7 frames per second. I probably just played around with it till it looked cool. 3 frames. Pretty good realistic movement. It is extra small on the screen. Well, this is big now, but in the game it's small. Width and height is 100, 100, based on the quadrant of the screen and the quadrant of the game. Quadrants, I should say. So this is only 3 frames, and it looks good. I had to animate each picture. These 3 pictures, the starting, the other 2. Anyway, I created a spider death, and again, I didn't name them. It's just object 4 and object 5. That's spider and spider death. Edit. Again, it moved what I was working on just up. And this is cool because it took a lot more animation. What is that? How many frames? 13 frames. And it's supposed to die. Boom, 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 care. So it's supposed to do that. And within the game, I made the rule that says if the player object touches him from the top, And that rule was something like if he touches it on the negative something axis, meaning he's moving down, touching him from the top, because this, again, these guys are moving randomly across the screen. You just have to say, hey, if the player object in the game approaches decreasing himself on the vertical axis while he touches that character, then the character dies. I didn't implement this death animation in the game, but it would look a lot cooler. And then you add in an audio effect, which I know is going to be more complicated than just adding the audio effect because the music is so loud. And the music, by the way, can be anything. I could be playing Led Zeppelin or something. But in reality, what I did was I either found or made via the website. I took the song Flamingo by Caro Bonito, which is my son Reiner's, was his favorite song. And it is kind of a jam. So I took that song, Flamingo by Caro Bonito, and I digitized it. So, what, to avoid lawsuits? I don't know. But it just sounds a lot cooler, like a video game. And he recognized it too. So that made it special. Anyway, I need to create a rule that says when this character, at the instance of his death, initiate this sprite, which is cool. It's supposed to look like he turns upside down and gets on his back. That's why the legs go up. But it's so small. Hopefully that would be convincing in the game. Cool. What other sprites do we have? Objects. Oh, this Sound 1. That's the audio file I pointed it to. We have Spike Bug. I tried to create a death sprite or action for the Pac-Man character as well. No, that's down, left, right. I was trying to make the player character, which is a fake Pac-Man, look different directions as he travels. But I thought I initiated it and it just didn't work. Sprite number... I made some more sprites here. Edit. Oh, that's the mountain. There's different ways you can design backgrounds. I just did whatever was the most simple to me, which is probably not the best for running the game. But that's the mountain side from the intro of the game. Sprites. These, I just use sprites to be everything on the screen at the intro screen. The table. And you can set stuff to be solid, so he will bump into the table and stop moving, or just go right behind it or right over it. That was hard to do. Make my character go behind something. I'm going to look at one more thing. Why do I have two Spike Bug icons? Here's this guy. He used to have two antennas, but I think Reiner said, hey, no, only one. I don't think he likes this beetle very much. The beetle has to be killed from the bottom, so I just reversed that rule and said if the instance of the player on the screen approaches while increasing himself on the vertical axis, regardless of how he's moving, because they're moving left, right, up, down, the player within himself, Pac-Man, whatever, is increasing himself on the vertical axis while he touches that guy, this character will die. So we imitate the Pac-Man dies on the spikes because I say if the instance of the player object Pac-Man touches this object while Pac-Man player is decreasing on the vertical axis equals death to the player, which is just disappearing. So I understood through learning these rules that there's no artificial intelligence in these simple arcade or like NES type games. I'm not even telling the game that this character kills the player. I'm saying if the player object, Orange Pac-Man, is traveling downward or decreasing his height on the vertical scale of the screen of the game and touches an instance of this, he will die. It has nothing to do with this character at all. This character has no rule attached to him for killing the player. The rule for dying is within the player itself. And if I can find that, somehow create, edit, All the rules are attached, so we'll take a look. Events. Oh, here we go. So attached to the player are events. Stepping is to use the keyboard to go left, right, up, down. Collision mask, same as sprite. The collision mask is basically the shape of the area, the size of the area around it that will be solid and collide with other things. Solid, visible, persistent, uses physics. I don't really know what that means. Collision mask, same as sprite. Collision mask, that's probably what the death mask will be when he dies. So you go hit add event, and that's adding rules of the game. So stepping is for moving. These are the two death items that are attached to the player. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Cut event, copy event, change event. I just want to read it. I want to edit it. Collision, game start, outside room. So yeah, game start means whenever the game starts, he starts moving his face, I guess. But I want to read cut event, copy event. I just want to view the event. There we go. Okay, so if the variable height equals y, other negative, other y. So again, the vertical axis, if it's negative, if height is 0 with other, and we designated what other is negative y, then the instance is destroyed. So that's what I described to you in so many words. If he's traveling down, decreasing, then the instance is destroyed, which means the sky spider gets destroyed. So if we look at the other role, it's the same, except, is this different? Oh yeah, we'll take a look. How is this different? I don't know if you can see, but this character right here changes from greater than to less than. Height is greater than or height is less than. So yeah, it's the exact opposite. If he's approaching this blue character with a height greater than it, touching it from the top, this character does not die, but the player dies. Anyway, I think I've described that a little bit backwards, but anyway, those are the rules. Someone's gonna die, just based on who's approaching who from what angle. So that's cool. There might be a more efficient way to do it, but again, I'm just learning. And yeah, let's go ahead and start the game again. F5 will run the game. I'm so glad I saved it on here because Reiner was saying, hey, let's play Nom Nom Game, which is Reiner's game. The music is going to be loud. Compiling the rules. Go to the table. If you touch, it begins. He goes behind the table, and if he touches a certain section that I've described, a Y and X access position on the screen, touch, game starts. Kill this guy from the top, this guy from the top, this guy from the top, this guy from the bottom. For some reason, the second blue guy seems to disappear. Yeah. And again, it's going to look prettier when he changes face directions as he moves, up and down, left and right. And I want to add a little like sound effects as he touches objects and kills them. And add a death animation to Spider that you already saw. And I don't know how I want to make the death animation for Beetle. I want to make him, though, just like melt into himself, like a black hole. So yeah, that's the song I told you, digitalized version of Flamingo by Carol Bodito. Which song has a very positive message. So anyway, yeah, this is GameMaker Studio. I need to update it. Maybe it's better aesthetically than filling the screen with all this stuff because I can't even, this is touchscreen and I can't even get to stuff up above. And there's no side scrolling bar. So now we just have a whole bunch of stuff up above in the workspace and I don't know how to get to it. We'll close it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.